they're just going to scare the hell out of Latinos and everybody else by saying that the Republicans are even worse. But at the end of the day, he gets to do this because he knows that he's safe. Hey, what is happening? You are listening to the Brown Perspective. This is RO, and I'm here with Eduardo. Hey, man, what's up?
Buenas, buenas.
What was
And
that? Threw me off with that.
well,
Well,
you haven't seen the Buenas TikTok video?
no, I haven't been on TikTok in
It's
a while. Did I tell you I ended up deleting TikTok because it was such a huge waste of time.
oh man, look at you. You're ahead of the members of Congress trying to get control of your digital life.
Yeah, but what is it?
So is this meme? I'm trying to find her name, but I believe she's Dominican, and she does this video of, she has a very particular voice. She goes, Buenas, buenas. Hoy amanecimos rica, sabrosa. Tengo la personalidad. Y está bailando y todo eso. Y después dice, casi al final dice, hoy me siento rica, me siento chupable, me siento mamable y hasta el palito masticable.
Dang. Yeah, I'm surprised no one has sent that to me because I do have a lot of other friends that are always on TikTok and they always send me these videos that I do watch, but then like I said, I stay away from the app because I was on it for about a week and then I was like, nah, this is trouble.
You're losing your mind.
Yeah, I was just spending too much time on it, going down the rabbit hole. Órale, pues.
Se llama Chiqui Bombón Real.
There you go. So for those out there listening, might be wondering what the hell are we talking about? We're easing Eduardo into this session because today is going to be a therapy session for him more than anything. Uh,
Certainly it is.
so he can talk to us about how it makes him feel that Biden has been such a disappointment so far.
Damn it, RO, you were right. You were right all along. And it's disappointing that the Biden administration recently decided to restart the Remain in Mexico program. And I know part of it is under a court order, but I think they've had some time to come up with an alternative way to approach
And not only that,
our.
it's also being expanded. At
Mhm.
least last I heard. And I agree with you. I think we can give them credit for immediately eliminating that when Trump came in. But now they were sued by the state of Texas. Was it also the state of Missouri, I believe? And that
Missouri.
Missouri. And it's interesting because it's more of a technicality that they got him with because they actually in the lawsuit it actually specified that the Biden administration had rushed to eliminate the program without actually looking at some of the benefits that it had brought about. And they actually pointed to a reduced inflow of migrants at the border. And they were like, look, this program's working. So you can't just cancel it without doing an assessment of the impact of what impact it's going to have. So they got him on that technicality, and then the Supreme Court upheld it, and now they've reached an agreement with Mexico, because obviously Mexico has to agree to this as well. They've reached an agreement with Mexico to continue the program. Not only are they just reinstating it, but they're also, as they say, expanding it. So major disappointment.
It is. And I know that, the administration has been dealing with a pandemic, but I think that this is such an important issue. And again, it's not the only issue that the Latino community cares about. I mean, the Latino community and other communities, of course, care about getting a handle on the pandemic, about getting the economy restarted, about education, about being able to afford a home so you don't have to, double up, triple up of move out of state.
Yep.
So, but it's just that there were a lot of hopes, a lot of people who voted for Biden and Kamala Harris, in the hopes that they would be able to restore the rule of law when it came around our immigration rules and laws.
Yeah, well, hate to say I told you so, man, but I'm sorry to say it, but I had a feeling that he was going to be a big disappointment, and in a sense, I always go back to this. It's part of it is really it's on us really because we don't flex our real power here. We have the numbers to really get these politicians to take us seriously, but they don't, and they think that they can keep on doing this, and that next time when the next elections come around, that they'll just come back and paint us a nice picture of what they're going to do, and then they're going to get the Latino vote. Because what are Latinos going to do? Vote Republican? They're just going to scare the hell out of Latinos and everybody else by saying that the Republicans are even worse. But at the end of the day, he gets to do this because he knows that he's safe with the Latino vote. And so part of it, again, always looking inward to see what's our role in this. And our role is that we're just not putting enough pressure on them. Our institutions, our organizing, our public representatives, and we're just not making enough noise about this. Imagine if we exercised with the I think it's about 14 or 15% of the population that's Latinos. Imagine if we had the same type of pool as that small community in Cuba does with the in Florida, that Cuban American community. I
Hmm.
mean, they wouldn't be able to do things like this without serious blowback.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think the reality is that some people are going to cut him slack, and some people I think are not going to vote for the Republican Party. Some will, and I think the reality is some are just going to be not re-engaged, unengaged. They're going to be unengaged and going to see like, what's the point of voting? What's the point
Hmm.
of doing this if nothing's going to change? And I think that's one of the reasons why there's a lot of people who, and maybe part of the reasons why there's so a large percentage of Latino voters across the country who don't participate because in some ways they don't see how what's happening in Washington D.C. at their respective state capital
Hmm.
or in their city hall is really
And
going to change if they vote, and nothing's going to change. So
and not to
it,
seem pessimistic, but they've already crunched the numbers and they've made the calculation that for every single voter, Latino voter, that loses faith in the system and detaches from it, they'll be able to pick up maybe a more conservative voter because they've re-implemented this policy, which was popular with Trump supporters. And
you know what? I think probably that voter is probably going to still vote Republican because they'll probably be like, yeah, the Biden administration applied, uh, reapplied the start the Trump program, but I still going to vote Republican. So I think those voters are probably lost
no, I
already.
agree with you. I think they're making that calculation, which is going to be wrong. So, because that's what the Democrats are always trying to do. They always try to get these conservative voters to vote for them, and which is a losing strategy. These guys are not going to vote for the Democrats. And okay, so big disclaimer. This is just a joke. I don't want to get in trouble, but I think part of it is because of all these Haitians that started coming across the border all of a sudden. And they were probably okay with Latinos, with Mexicans, Central Americans, but then they saw all these black people. They're like, oh crap, we have to reinstate this program again. Let's just use
Mm.
the cover of the Supreme Court. We can't let all these Haitians in. Nah,
I
you
think
don't think it's
that
that? I'm just joking, by the way.
Well, I think that there's some truth to that, because I think the Supreme Court is trying to take us back a few decades, at least 50 years, in a number of areas, including reproductive rights. But I think to your point, the fact that Haitian immigrants are in the mix means that they're also going to be alienating the African American community, the African American Black community, because I think is one of those examples where you see that Black people from Latin America and Black people from across other parts of the world are being treated unhumanely just because the color of the skin, their socioeconomic status, and so many other factors. So I think it also puts in danger the support that
But
this administration will get in the next. Well, we have the midterm election, and then we'll see what happens
Oh, they're gonna get
for the
blown out.
2024.
It's gonna be a slaughter. But by the way, how do you think? How strong do you think the solidarity is between African Americans and Haitians or people from the Caribbean? Because there are differences. Like there is a Caribbean identity, a work ethic, their own culture that they have when they come to the U.S. and not all the time do they align with what's considered black culture in the U.S. Do you think that there's going to be a strong movement by the black community in the United States to say try to campaign to not vote for the Democrats because of this?
I think there will be segments of the population where that may be the case. And going back to Florida, and I don't know why folks in Florida are so politically active, but right next to the Cuban Americans in Florida, you also have the Haitian Americans, and they're pretty involved politically. And I also think in the South, there's more awareness about what Haitians and other African immigrants are dealing with. So I think that maybe not to a large extent, but I think there's certainly it will be hard not to look at these headlines and be like, oh wow, they're turning away people
Mm-hmm.
at the border that look like me. And because I mean that's how I feel. Like I realize how lucky I am, right? The fact that I'm one in however many million that was able lucky enough to wait 5 years to be able to get a green card to get to be here with status, understanding that there's still people in my life who are trying to adjust their status, and oftentimes when they see them and me, it's just it's luck, really,
Mm-hmm.
luck and timing, perhaps.
Or another way of looking at it is that you are one of the unlucky individuals that had to leave your country because of the meddling of the United States and also because of the internal corruption of the politicians in your country.
That's true. Yeah, I mean that's a another way to look at it.
I'm glad you're
Not to get
doing glass half full instead of glass half empty.
exactly. No, I'm an optimistic person by
Yeah.
nature. I try
Y-
to be because I'm an immigrant.
Yeah, but you know what though? When it comes to again going back to the solidarity between blacks and in the U.S. and then in Haitians, I hope it's there, and I hope that there is a push. But it always comes back to the same thing. They have no real options. I mean, who are they going to vote for if they don't vote for the Democrats? So right, it's not like Bernie Sanders is in the wings waiting to capture those votes. I mean, with Bernie Sanders out of the picture, they can do whatever they want. I mean, maybe before if they feared that Bernie Sanders would run again and would capture a significant percentage of the vote, maybe they would be afraid. Maybe they would even be afraid of losing some Latino voters. But I haven't heard anything about Sanders running again in 2+ years. So I think they've effectively said they have no choice. It's either Democrat or Republican. There's nobody else. Who Jill Stein? Like no one's gonna vote for her. I mean, the only one that really had a chance to form a viable or to at least get the ball rolling to start the process of forming a viable third party was Bernie with the progressive movement. But yeah, that's all fizzled out. And again, because of Joe Biden. And now I suppose, here we are talking about how disappointed we are. But from Joe Biden's point of view, it's phenomenal because they destroyed Bernie, and now he gets to do whatever he wants. And then in well, not in the midterms because they're gonna get their ass handed to them there, but in another 2.5 years, is it for the next election? He's gonna just try to scare everybody by saying, vote for me, don't vote for Trump. Although that's probably not going to work either. I mean, he's already behind on the polls, right? So as I talk about this strategy out loud, I simultaneously realize how the strategy is a failed strategy. So I suppose I contradicted myself in this entire segment just now.
Look at that. But I was gonna ask you, but what about AOC?
Nah, they're grooming her for presidency, but I don't know if she's ready for prime time next time around. They're probably telling her to hold off maybe another 6 years. They're grooming her. Eventually, she'll run, but I don't think she's. I don't know. I mean, she might, but they'll let her know when they're ready for her. It's not like she's going to choose to run. They'll tell her. She's in the pipeline. Don't worry. They'll bring
Well,
her out.
the other potential candidate I think now that's emerging is maybe the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. It seems like he's kind of getting on the Iowa, Ohio campaign trail to test the waters.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Pete Buttigieg a few weeks ago with Kamala Harris. She's not very popular. No, man, I think they're going to lose. I think they're going to lose the midterms. They're going to lose the presidency again, and then they're just the same old tactic, right? And then they'll come back around the next time and then say, oh, look at these Republicans are terrible. Let's get them out of office. And then you'll see people crying again because there's children in cages, which, by the way, you don't see that anymore, even though it's still happening. So don't want to be a pessimist, but these are politicians, so their interests don't always align with ours. The only time when their interests seem to align with ours is when they're telling us that they need to be elected and they're telling us that their interests align with ours. But then they go and they put forth policy, make policy decisions that serve somebody else's interest, not their constituency. I told
No,
myself
not to
I
be.
wasn't. I told myself I wasn't going to be a pessimist anymore, but can't help it.
No, you're being a realist, and then
Yeah.
I think then it kind of goes back to what we can do at our own level
Hmm.
to get involved on the issues that matter to us and
Yep. Support
to
local
hold
organizing.
those folks accountable.
Yep, exactly. Bueno,
Wait, what you said?
support local community organizing.
Oh,
Support
there you go.
local unionizing. Support, yeah, your local chapters. Bueno, I think ahí la dejamos. We can leave it at that. So again, hope this therapy session was helpful to you. I know that I saw it coming, so I'm not that surprised. We'll see how this evolves.
Ya, y aquí estamos y no nos vamos.
Yeah. All right. If you all out there enjoy our content, make sure to check us out. We are Brown Perspective. Nos vemos.
Chao.